Welcome to another week in our Wonderful Day in the Lord broadcast. I'm enjoying, I hope you are too, just slowly going through the book of Job, chapter 38, looking at the wonders of God. This is what God is showing Job, and obviously he wants to show us the same. We, in the hurry and bustle of our lives, we miss so much that God has created and why he's created it and how he controls it. These things we take for granted. We seldom slow down long enough to contemplate these things. I will sometimes read a book by somebody who has taken the time to do that. Thoreau's book on Walden is interesting, not because he knows much about God, but he enjoyed looking at nature, taking the time to do so. That's fun to do. There's other people who've written books on nature and showing the creativity of God. And just the wonder of what God has created. And that's what he's doing to Job here. He's showing Job just the wonders of himself. And his creation reflects him. And so we've looked at a number of things that show his creative and sovereign purposes. Today we're going to look at verses 31 and 30 to 33. We'll start with that, with the stars. He says, "Can you bind the chains of the Pleiades, or loose the cords of Orion? Can you lead forth a constellation in its season, and guide the bear with her satellites? Do you know the ordinances of the heavens are fixed to rule over the earth?" So he says, now we've looked around and we've looked down into the sea, and we've looked at the atmosphere, we looked at the sun and the moon and the stars. Now we're going to look at the stars. We've looked at the weather, we've looked at death. But let's look at the stars. I think all of us on occasionally on a bright night, will look up into the heavens and marvel at the stars. A couple of years ago, we took a couple of our grandkids to Utah, and the bright open sky, and there was little light around. It was just amazing just to sit back and look at the heavens and see them multiple, thousands upon thousands of stars and what God has created in the heavens. And it kind of takes your breath away when you begin to contemplate that this earth that we live on is just one ball, one mass of creation where God has placed us, and yet throughout the universe there are tens of thousands, even millions of planets and stars and so forth, created by God for purposes that often we don't even know. And yet we know the beauty of them, and we see the creative hand of God in those things. If you ever gone to the Creation Museum, make sure you spend that extra $5 or whatever it is today to go to the planetarium section and go as they turn off the lights and begin to show the vastness of the universe and the smallness of us in comparison. It's a treat. It's eye-opening. It takes your breath away, really, to realize what God has done. And yet he's just done it. He's created the stars. He's created the universe. This is the God who controls all things that Job is pushing back on and claiming he doesn't know what he's doing. We do the same thing, sadly. This God who can create the universe, millions of stars and planets, and orchestrate all of this, is a God that we can trust and believe in. And yet often we want to push back. Job was doing it. God is showing him why that's rather ridiculous. And then let's move on also to look at the clouds and the lightnings. Verse 34, "Can you lift up your voice to the clouds, and so that an abundance of water will cover you? Can you send forth lightnings that they may go? And you say to you, here you are." The clouds in the sky, another wonderful thing. Who, as a kid, remember laying down on the ground and looking up at the clouds, just enjoying the clouds and imagining what they were, making up figures. There's a dinosaur, there's an elephant, whatever. And, when we get to be adults, often we don't do things like that. We don't take the time just to lay on the grass and look up and see. We ought to probably do a little bit more of that in our adulthood. But when we do so, it's a wonder, isn't it? What a wonderful thing to examine. What about lightning? Lightning, we had a lightning storm here this morning. What a thing. to see lightning in what it is. God created those things. God's in control of those things. This is the God of wonders, the God of the universe. How could Job push back on such a God? But he did, and you and I tend to do so as well. Take some time to look up at the stars. Look up at the clouds. Look up at the lightning. This is the God who created it all, and controls it all. He is worthy of our praise.